New guests.
Welcome.
If you don't mind, would you just stand up and introduce yourself to our group? Bill, would you like to?
Sure. Hi, my name is Bill Balviga. I moved here about 3 years ago, retired from the University of Illinois from the public health faculty. I've done some community organizing, been in a lot of SDS and a lot of other political organizations, and I'm looking to get back into some political work.
So what brings you here tonight?
Well, I'm very interested in the topic. As we were talking before, it's really a mystery, right? And that's usually a bad sign, but I really don't know much about this issue.
Are you talking about TPP?
Right. TPP, yeah, the topic of the meeting tonight. And so I came to get more informed, right?
Wonderful.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, hi, I'm Hannah Holtzman. I worked recently on the Herlinda Chico campaign for City Council. I was a volunteer coordinator, day-to-day operations. And I'm here because Rondi asked me personally to come talk and see if we can get more people involved in the group. From what I've heard, it sounds like an amazing organization. So I would like to be a part of it and see if we can get more people involved. Particularly the youth or the interns that I had on my campaign. Hi, Rondi.
Speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil. It's a good interns. And these are my friends who are also involved in the campaign as well. They do government things on their own. So I'll have them introduce
What are your
themselves.
names?
I'm Anna.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Welcome. Hi, Rondi.
Hi.
And who is your
And
guest?
this is my younger sister Marva visiting me from Sacramento.
Well, come on in.
Find a seat. There's up here.
Okay. Now, we value people's input at our meetings, and we want to show them respect. So please, refrain from interrupting the speaker or getting up and walking away from the table when they're speaking. Hold your comments until they are done, and then raise your hand to be called on. Please join me in eliminating the crosstalk during meetings. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for coming tonight. We were going to have our meeting outside, but it's a little chilly, so we're just going to be very cozy in here. I'd like you to know that the restroom facilities are right down at the end of the hall, okay? We also have some beverages here on the table, and at the break I have some soup, and I'm going to make some quesadillas. And then we'll get back together and we'll have our presentation. Now, I'd like to frame the meeting tonight a little bit. We want to, besides our usual business, we want to review what issues the club has been working on. And the purpose of this is to get across that Yes We Can is involved in a lot of different issues, okay? We're not a one-issue club. We do a lot of things. The other thing we want to talk about is Laurel has broken down our leadership and responsibility roles, and she's put together an organizational chart. We review that organizational chart every year. It kind of helps us focus on what we're doing. We have our mission statement, and underneath that, we have our objectives. So we'll go over that. And we're also going to talk about the TPP in the second half of our meeting. We have Julian Berger, who's the president of the Progressive Democrats, and he's going to talk about the TPP, but he's going to talk about it from a labor perspective. We couldn't find anybody who was going to talk about the pros of the TPP, but I'm sure we'll find somebody that can do that. Or one of the other Dem clubs might also do that, because this is a hot topic, and this is going to be voted on in Congress in the next few months. So it's been pretty important to find out both sides of that. Okay, so without further ado, let's start the meeting, and we will have a approval of minutes from our Secretary Carol Rogers.
Okay. First, I'd like to tell you that my job was made so much easier by one Dee Dee, because she made this wonderful binder that has, tabs for everything, the agendas for the meetings, the agendas for the e-board meetings, the minutes of the e-board meetings, the minutes of the regular meetings. And I will bring this to every meeting, and if you ever need to look up something and see what happened or just double check on something, it's available. Because this is a fantastic way to keep things, because I was working on this a couple days ago. I had like a huge stack of paperwork, and I just it was like, oh, there's a tab for that. Oh, there's a tab for that. I was so excited that everything went into the binder. So
You must be a teacher.
Thank you for helping me get organized, and so this is available for people who want to look at it. Secondly, as for the minutes for the March meeting, we're trying not to waste a whole lot of paper. For the March meeting, I sent the minutes to everyone who attended that meeting and asked them to look them over and make sure they were accurate reflection of what we did at the meeting, and everyone signed off on them. So in a way, they were kind of approved by email. The January and February ones were emailed to everyone, so I'm assuming that by now you had a chance to look at them. There was kind of a snafu. They really should have been approved a little earlier, but there was a mix-up. So that is why we're approving 3 months worth of minutes. But anyway, so there are copies of the minutes in there. I have like one copy of January, one copy of February, one copy of March that I did run off, but I'm trying not to make huge stacks of copies of minutes. Saving trees and things. So if you want to look at them,
I move that we approve the minutes for January, February, and March.
I second that.
Okay, are there any people that are opposed to this? Okay.
Is there any discussion?
no, any discussion?
I'm sorry,
Call
any
for
discussion, yes, discussion.
Yeah.
After the
Yes.
second.
Okay,
No. It's just,
Robert's Rules of Order.
Go ahead, Stuart.
no, it's not really a discussion, but if you can get me copies of those copies, either electronically or otherwise, I can update our website.
Yeah, in fact,
and put them in.
I did send them to you yesterday or the day before. I sent you January, February, and March because I was looking at the website and I saw November and December and I thought we need to update this.
But is there more in the binder than January, February, March?
For 2015,
We didn't
no,
have a
because we didn't
no
have a
meeting.
meeting in April. So that's it
We
for
did.
2015.
We did, it just wasn't a standard meeting. We had the pay-to-play events.
We had the pay to play, but we didn't have.
Yeah, no
I didn't
minutes.
really take minutes. It wasn't like a standard meeting.
So I'm wondering
So
how
the
far
three that I
back.
sent you,
Okay.
well, I would say just do 2015. Just go with that.
Okay.
You can post those three. You did get them, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Shall I
that was
resend that?
discussion. Is
Okay.
there any more discussion?
That's discussion.
Okay, is there anyone opposed to
Then you
the,
say all in favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so
All
that,
opposed?
all opposed? Okay,
I'm gonna get you giant
I
key
know.
cards.
Yeah, really, hold it up.
okay, so,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. So now we're gonna move on to the treasurer's report.
Okay, since we didn't have a standard meeting because of the pay-to-play, there's 2 months and copies are available for anybody that wants to. At the beginning of March, we started off in the federal account with $361.20 and the state account $516.65. We had $39.40 in membership dues. It's an odd amount because one was the regular dues payment, one was for a senior citizen, and one was paid through Act Blue, and they take out their cut.
Oh,
Okay, so
That's still good.
it's a weird amount. The only expense we had was reimbursement to Cindy Fowler for the Yes We Can Democratic Club GoDaddy domain name renewal.
Thank you.
And so the total funds as of March 31st were $904.83.
Fantastic.
For April, we had collected $92 in donations for the pay-to-play screening event. That went into the federal account. We had no expenses or reimbursements, so our total funds as of April 30th is $996.83.
Wow, great.
Well, not great, but it's better than it was.
but I will say that,
I will
Yes, Laura.
I was gonna say to,
to look at it also to put in the binder. Oh, sorry.
that when Cindy and I went to the Progressive Gems Club on Sunday, they had 60 people at their meeting at Denny's. Their treasury was like $820.
Wow.
So we felt like we're doing okay.
Yeah, they have 90 members, by the way, and we have 28, so.
Fantastic.
So
Well,
we're,
thank you,
How
Lynn.
much does our membership cost?
It's usually $15 a year
10 for seniors.
and $10
And
for
10
seniors.
And for students.
Students.
Yeah, what's a
Students?
We can-
Yeah, how much students are
That's
10?
another discussion.
whatever you decide.
Right. Depends how you feel that day.
Nobody
free, then I'm a senior.
We've had that discussion, we might have to revisit that again, but not right now. Okay,
There's no
thank you,
surgery
Lynn,
in
for that
our-
treasure
No,
report.
it's
Well,
good.
We do have a,
Okay, everybody, now we're gonna move on to old business, and we're gonna review all the club issues, all the club issues that we are supporting, and that is going to be given to us by Cindy and Laura.
okay.
No worries.
Stand in there, okay. So, this is just a quick jogging of memory. Last year, about this, well, probably in, about this time, we realized that we were not going to be having a presidential election, as you know, duh. And so, as it has been pointed out to us a number of times, that in presidential elections, non-presidential election years, club memberships tend to fall off because people aren't as engaged and they don't run out and they don't want to register voters and they don't, blah, blah. I mean, not us, but other clubs. And so we did some things. We tried to come up with some alternatives. One of the things that we did was to do the salon,
Strategy salon.
well, the salon
Okay.
at Eileen's house. And we had a really good discussion. We have one of our members who's very interested in transportation issues and relationship to equity. So we had a strategy slam at one of our members' houses. Sorry, we had a salon. We had about 15 or 20 people, and that was great, but it was sort of a lot of effort for not as much. We wanted a broader audience. So then we start, and when I say we, we're talking about all of our membership, all of our readers and that sort of thing, and everybody in the club. So then we started planning what we could do to come up with ideas of what we could do in this non-presidential year. And so, starting in actually October or September, about 8 of us met every month, planned what we called the Strategy Slam, which was an effort to get members' input into what we should work on. So on December 4th, we met at 618 Ohio. We had about 30 people there. Because we called and said, come on down, and so everybody came. We had charts and graphs where people had a chance to, well, at least charts, had a chance to give input as to what issues they wanted to discuss for this next year. We had a whole long list. We went through, we divvied up, we selected, we had people prioritize. I don't know if you remember being part of that, but people were moving around and there was a lot of discussion. And what we ended up with as our primary goals or primary issues for 2015 were working on the Citizens United issue, getting money out of politics, or MOVI is one of the groups that does that, and Cindy's real involved in that and has gotten us involved. And the other big issue was equity. And it was a big topic because equity covers a billion things. And so the equity that we looked at was, when we, like the next meeting, we did some more discussion and narrowed it down. And it had to do with living wage and, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I forgot my notes, but another one of those, and I'll let you know in a minute. So then we then met in, that was December, then in January we had another meeting at 618 Ohio where people divvied up into the groups that they were most interested in. And we said it then and we're saying it now, that just because this is our focus doesn't mean that if you were originally on the equity team and you really like equity, that you can only participate in equity. You can participate in MOVI, you can participate in equity, and you can participate in things that other groups, other people are doing. And Cindy's going to talk a little bit about that. It's interesting, even though we're a small group, we're very active, and a lot of us have little things that we do that aren't necessarily just related to club I mean, they're all democratic and they're all club activities, so to speak, but they're not necessarily just the things we're talking about. So that brings us to now, and we wanted, and Cindy's going to talk about the things we've done. But the point being that we've heard from a few people, I don't think anybody in this group, but a few others, that, you know, Yes We Can has turned into a one-issue club, and that's just not true. It's just that this is what we're doing this year, and as soon as we get our candidate in November, in the summer at the convention, we will begin working on very political things to make sure that person gets elected. But we aren't there yet, so that's why we're doing these other things, and we've had a lot of people doing a lot of things. And now Cindy will be talking about those issues. Thank you.
Hey everyone, thank you all for coming tonight. We're going to continue our review of our strategy and where we are today. We thought it might be helpful to review all the activities and actions that our Yes We Can club members have been participating in from January to April. So I prepared this list, and I have to tell you, I was actually struck by the number of things this club has done, especially when you consider we are really 28 people right now. Now, as an aside, we plan to double that membership. Okay, we're going to be 56 before the end of the year, I'm sure of it. But in the meantime, I'll talk about that later. So the issues we talked about are equity. Regarding equity, Yes We Can teamed up with our coalition partner, Long Beach Housing. We did several events with them. We did a town hall, we did a march, and we did a rally. We attended Long Beach City Council meetings to advocate for a renter protection program, which was also Long Beach Housing. We participated in meetings and picketings. We picketed hotels to improve hotel employee working conditions, along with our other partner, Long Beach Coalition for Good Jobs and Healthy Communities. We're building coalitions, in other words. We marched with our community in support of Black Lives Matter. That was really touching, really, it was amazing. 3 of our members, in fact, Dagmar, Shayna, and Phil, now this is something they did on their own. They attended a legal clinic for ex-offenders to help them expunge their records, some of their crimes from their records, so they can apply for jobs, and they desperately need to get on their feet. They need a job. So there's these clinics that are going on, and in fact Dagmar is going to talk a little bit about that at the end of the meeting, to talk about if you want to get involved with that. Then we had, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a video. We had one of our members, Susan, who was part of a planned disruption to a meeting. The meeting whose purpose was to help fracking companies skirt regulations. And the meeting was actually sponsored by the regulators themselves. So here's Susan in the meeting, and she's disrupting it along with some other people, and then Eddie
in a very peaceful way.
Yeah, Eddie and Peggy are outside on the street with hundreds of other people, and that was part of Stop Fracking Long Beach. So that's what we've done for equity. Now, when it comes to money out, voters in, overturning Citizens United, we rented the now famous Democracy bus, and we had it bannered on both sides. We drove down the freeway on 405, and people were honking at us because it said corporations are not people and money is not speech. We went to LA City Hall to join hundreds of other people to march for democracy. It was the 5th anniversary of Citizens United, which was a disastrous Supreme Court decision which has caused havoc in our system. Then we participated in a petition drive to urge President Obama to sign an executive order requiring federal contractors to disclose their campaign spending. And as part of that action, we went to meet our very own Congressman, Alan Lowenthal, to solicit his support in urging President Obama to sign this executive order. And in fact, he does support this, Alan Lowenthal, and he will sign the House letter. We weren't done. We then sponsored a screening of the movie Pay to Play at the Unitarian Church as part of their first Friday's Echo Justice film series. And more details I'll give you a little bit later when I give you the movie update. Then we went to table on Friday nights on 2nd Street with the Long Beach Peace Network. We made this huge Monopoly board, which comes from the movie Pay to Play, because it all comes down to what a Monopoly board is, and if you've seen the movie, it's really clever. But we had this giant Monopoly board on 2nd Street, and we were actually registering voters. We were promoting the Pay to Play screening that was coming up, and we were talking about Prop 49, which we want to restore to the ballot.
Yeah. Thank you, Doggy. Hey, Susan.
Hey, Susan, I just gave you a shout out to join here. And then regarding health care, which is a very big issue, Covered California and the Affordable Care Acts, our members volunteered at several Covered California events to sign up our community for health insurance and for Medi-Cal. This club, Yes We Can, was started in 2009, and the biggest issue we had at that time was helping President Obama get the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, passed. So we, if nothing else, we have been consistent. So now I'm going to let Maria tell you about tabling opportunities.
Okay, we need to table all of these issues that you just heard about. This is what we talk about when we're at our tabling, okay? We're sitting there registering voters, and we want to talk about what's going on, what is important, why do you need to vote? You know, we get a lot of young people that come to our table and go, I'm not going to vote, and I'm not going to be a Democrat, I'm not going to be a Republican. They're completely disillusioned. They need to have something to look forward to. What does it mean to be a voter? We have to remind people that the next president that gets elected, guess what? They're going to be picking some Supreme Court justices. That is a huge thing. To me, that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But you have to have a little bit more on the table. Hi, Diane. Come in and sit down. So you have to have a little bit more on the table when you're talking about registering voters. People have to have something to believe in. Now we have some opportunities in our town to register voters at First Fridays in Bixby Knolls. That's only 3 hours of your time. We have Second Fridays, and we have, that's on Second Street in Belmont Shore.
With the Peace Network.
Yeah, we're with other groups, and we're out in front of the Chase Bank. Second Street's a very nice place to hang out on a Friday evening and talk to people that are walking by and help them register to vote. When you register somebody to vote, you're really empowering that person. We have another opportunity. I don't know if you guys have heard about this one. It's the Twilight Walk. It's on Pine Avenue. It's the third Friday of every month, downtown Long Beach. A lot of people go, oh, downtown Long Beach, I don't know. But it's actually pretty cool. So those are 3 opportunities.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we also have, Sheena suggested another opportunity which we have to investigate, and that's the Bixby Knolls Farmers Market on Tuesdays, right?
It's not Bixby Knolls, it's a Bixby Park.
Bixby Park, excuse me.
Yeah.
So that is another one we're going to investigate.
That's a lot of actually.
But I'm going to be putting out a MailChimp blast about these opportunities, and I really hope that you guys will sign up for a couple of hours. Come out. If you haven't registered anybody to vote, don't worry. We will show you how to do it. It's pretty easy. And it feels good. It really does. It's good to go out there and connect with the community. People say, well, you know, what is your club about? That's another opportunity to tell them this is what we're doing. You know, having a club that has 20, 30 people in it might not sound like a big deal, but it actually is. If each person in this group goes out and talks to somebody else about what issues they're doing, what they're doing to participate in the community, that affects what happens overall. It's really important to have that one-on-one with people. Okay? So
is this the point where I can just talk a little bit about the materials of the tabling? Because I have.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so at our last meeting, excuse me, we divided up into equity again and into MOVI or Citizens United things and had a little powwow. And so one of the things that we know we need at our tabling opportunities is we need literature. Because since we don't have a candidate we're supporting right now, or even anybody locally running for any of the offices, then you don't, you know, like you have a bare table and a little flag and some voting material, but maybe people aren't interested in voting right now. So the other issue is to try to have something, with our goal is to try to have some things at the table where we have simple write-ups of some of these pressing issues. So at the last meeting, I asked some of our members if they would be willing to do just simple write-ups. So they're going to, I have 2 of them from 3 people. They're going to send them to me. I have one in my hands. We're going to make them all pretty. Maria has a lot of expertise in printing things. And so those items will be at the tables. But because these guys did some hard work, I wanted them to just take like 2 minutes and tell the rest of us about their issue. Like, for example, here is this Catherine Benamu. I always want to say Mount, but Benamu, and she's very interested in immigration, and so she's prepared some bullet points here that she sent me actually today, and then we will again turn it into something that is, you know, like a flyery thing that we'll have at the table, so if you come to the table as well. So can you just quickly summarize? As you can see, we're on a tight budget here, I mean a tight time budget, but I want you to say a few words.
This is a couple, well, first of all, the President made an executive order, right, to expand DACA, which is Deferred Action of Childhood Arrivals, to expand the age limit for that and to extend it so that it's going to be in force as young people are able to begin thinking about how to regularize their status, and they will be able not to go to college, work without fearing deportation. And also it's for parents, DACA is for parents of citizens and lawful legal residents in the States. Well, we know that there was a court order, right, against this in February, and 26 states have come out in support of the court order, but of course California is not one of them. So one of the things I wanted to do was to foreground how there are efforts afoot in the state to actually expand services to unauthorized people here, and to also help them and help normalize their status. So for example, their driver's license, so on and so forth. So these are initiatives that are already taking place in the state. 73 cities actually came out in support of Obama's executive action. So I sort of wanted to put on the map, you know, the fact that LA and Long Beach are behind those actions, and maybe get people to think about how, what ways that they can support the executive action as it's being held up in the courts. Now, think about comprehensive immigration reform, which the Senate actually passed in 2013, but the House refused to vote on. And one of the things I'd like to do, I'll wrap this up now, is to really find the research on economic impact, right? What would be the economic impact if this executive action went through? What are the negative, right, conditions if it doesn't? And this isn't just the people who are in that situation, it's everyone, right? So for example, people are not able to sign up for health care, health insurance, so they use an emergency room. That affects everybody's health care, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to have another set of bullet points that has to do with impact, but this is just a beginning so people can understand the background of the executive action.
Right. And see what, by having these things that that they're at the table, then not only will we be able, I mean, we who are tabling will be able to find out a little bit about something if somebody asks, but also we can have the literature to give out. So the other person who volunteered to do something was Shayna. And Shayna's issue has to do with unions. So you want to give us a little overview of that?
Okay, well, I'm really into issues with about inequity between the have and the have-nots. And what's happened to the middle class basically spirals down according to what the unions, if they're in the union or not. So I have a thing here, as union membership decreases, middle class income shrinks. So of course, as their middle class income shrinks, they're not in the middle class anymore. When we have strong unions and people that are, you know, elected that support the strong unions, we, you know, will have probably more people in the union and more support for unions instead of the what's the word, eroding of the unions. Right. So I just put all the good points of being in the union and why you should support someone who supports unions.
And I see you have a little chart there.
I have a little chart in this.
Wow, make a graphic. Okay, so that's our effort. The one thing I will say is that as we develop a few of these things, and I'd like to form a committee, I'll talk about that later actually, but just since we're on it, I can say it now, come to think of it, and then not say it later and I'll save time. But I'm hoping in my area that I will talk about later, that we will form a little committee to establish a list of priorities about which items we'd like to discuss or write up first. And we're not going to start from scratch. I mean, we're going to make this as legitimate and as well documented as we can, because that you all know that when you have when you have literature that's sort of summarized by everybody, it can be a little bit dicey. So thank you, ladies, for doing that. I really appreciate, we all appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. So that kind of was the equity report, I think.
Well, yeah, it was. No, it was.
What's happening
No, she's got more, but that was my portion.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
I
so,
stand corrected.
equity report. As Cindy mentioned, hello. Oh, wow. Okay, as Cindy mentioned, the equity team has worked with a couple different groups. We worked with the Housing Long Beach people to help work on a program for renters and renters' rights in general. At the moment, that group is not as active, though they're still lobbying the city council to try to get them to pass REAP. But the group that we're working more often with right now is a coalition for good jobs in a healthy community. And what they're currently working on, here's a more recent flyer, is the hotel employees, specifically the women who clean the rooms. Some of you might remember a few years ago they passed Measure N, and that was to give a living wage to hotel employees. But as a side thing, the hotels had the option of unionizing, and some of the hotels did. The Hyatt and the Maya did. And those workers now have a lot more support, better working conditions. They're much happier. Two hotels that did not want to unionize include the Westin and the Renaissance. And because they had to give them a more living wage, their solution to that was to lay people off and increase everyone's workload. So they've really been pushing the people over there. The women are forced to clean like one room every 30 minutes, which is pretty difficult. Particularly as I've been to some of the meetings where the women have come to talk about their jobs, and it's kind of heartbreaking because they're considered expendable, and they have to get to work half an hour before their shift to set up their carts. The carts weigh 250 pounds, so they get shoulder and back injuries. There are motorized carts in existence, but of course the hotels don't want to pay for that. They're often but the issue, okay, let me get straight to the main issue that they're going to work on now, which is something that hasn't really been addressed before this, and they're hoping that Long Beach can kind of pioneer the efforts in this, and that is there's a certain amount of sexual assault that takes place in hotels. It's something that's usually hushed up and that people don't like to talk about, but these women are working alone. They're going door to door and knocking on the doors to see if it's okay to clean the room, and they often have a naked man that comes to the door. The problem is if they say anything to the management, the management acts like it's their fault. Like, can't you handle that, or maybe you did something wrong. They just don't want to discuss it. They don't want to face the issue. And one of the women that works at the hotel was saying that every time she has to knock on a door, she gets scared because she's had these experiences. And in these hotels, they are often the only worker on that floor. In the union hotels, they usually have a backup runner that can help them with the heavy mattresses and things like that, and could potentially help them if they got into some kind of situation like that. So what we're going to try to do is to draw attention to this problem, and they're hoping that, as I said, that if we can make a big deal about it in Long Beach, maybe other cities and other hotels this will promote awareness of this critical issue. So we are picketing the Westin and the Renaissance, and the management of the hotels, they're taking a hard line. Some of them, at one of the hotels, I can't remember which one now, maybe you recall, they actually followed some of the employees home, or they're telling them, oh, if you join the union, you're going to lose your residency permit, and they're using any kind of leverage and fear that they can think of. So not right. But anyway, the pickets for the month of May are every Friday. I did email the schedule to the people that are on the equity team, but I printed out a few copies of the picketing schedule for May and June. For May, it's going to be every Friday from 7 to 9, and that includes tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning it's at the Renaissance. It's every other week at the Renaissance, every other week at the West End. So the Renaissance is at the corner of Ocean and Pine. What they're trying to get is as much community support as possible. Because if it's just the workers who are complaining, the management is very capable of just ignoring them. They've been doing that for years. But if they see that there's a certain amount of community support, then that can make a difference. And so they're also going to the city council members and talking to them. Sorry, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought my time was up or something. It is. I got my papers. Okay. Issue. Suja Lowenthal is already on board. Thank you. They're trying to talk to the other city council members, and so what can you do to help besides go picket? You can talk to your city council member and convince them that this is a critical issue and that they need to do something. What they're proposing as a solution is maybe have them wear some kind of necklace that's they can push a button and security would arrive. Post signs in the hotel that say we don't put up with any kind of sexual harassment, just to let people know that they do follow up on it, that it's not something we ignore. And then the idea of having an extra person on the floor that could back them up too, that would be nice. So, okay. So, anyone who would like the picketing schedule, or if you want to be on my mailing list for the equity team, I'm happy to do that for you too. Oh no. But you have the, I think you probably got 6 too many papers.
Yeah, I think
so. So, I have more copies of the picketing schedule, or see me after the meeting and I'll, or at the break, and I'll get you on the mailing list.
Thank you
very
much, Carol. Thank you.
Carol, do you want us to write our names if we're going to help you out on this, or do we just contact you right now?
Give your name to, well, I'll write your name down right now, and I'll put you on my mailing list.
But basically, Diane, you can just show up. Oh, that's what people do. I mean, you don't have to live.
Okay.
Picketing is all Friday right now.
Okay, I think we're ready for some.
Quick recap, I'll make it shorter. On Moby, you'll see you've got 2 handouts. One is the Restore Prop 49, and the other is time for a presidential executive order. I'm going to reference those at the end of what I'm going to tell you, so just have those handy. The pay-to-play screening was at Unitarian Church on April 3rd. The screening, we did the screening and then we had a Q&A session, and we highlighted 2 issues which is on your handouts. It's the restoring Prop 49 to the 2016 ballot, encouraging people to write letters to the California Supreme Court. We believe we're going to win this case, and this is going to be a BFD, as our Vice President would say. That's a big F deal. And because if we get this on the ballot in California, that is going to start a nationwide conversation. And they have to cover it because it's called Prop 49. It's going to be on the ballot in 2016. The actual event itself, we had 49 people come. We had 11 sign up to be on our Yes We Can mailing list. We had 26 people sign the letters to the California Supreme Court. We had some people do it on their smartphones right as they stood there. They did it online and they did the template. We received $92 in donations. These kind of events are really important. They attract new members to our club. They educate the community about the issue. The congregation of the Unitarian Church is a perfect matchup with us. Yes. First of all, they absolutely have this issue of overturning Citizens United in their actual platform, their social justice platform. So you couldn't ask for a better partner. That venue is awesome. So the venue, they've been giving it to us for free. So this is another coalition partner that we have to make use of. We're going to do more pay-to-play screenings. The next one I'm really excited about, because I asked Stella actually came to me and said, I want to do a screening for the best Kick-A activists in the city of Long Beach. This is the coalition of, what's it, Good Jobs
Community.
Good Jobs and for Health, yeah.
And Healthy Communities.
And Healthy Communities. Anyway, they are the best activists we have in the city, and I asked the director of the movie and the producer of the movie to come to Long Beach. I said it might only be 20 or 30 people, but it's the most important 20, 30 people you could talk to. And they're going to connect the dots because these people are totally focused locally, which is absolutely correct. But we want them to understand that this national event movement that we're building to overturn Citizens United has a connection to the local world that they live in. And I think that this movie will show that. Then I'm asking for help because we want to do another pay-to-play screening as a fundraiser for this club. It's a wonderful tool, and we're going to get like a nice theater, big theater. We got a 45-foot by 45-foot Monopoly board. Imagine an entire intersection, the PCH 2nd Street intersection, filled with that Monopoly board, and we're going to cause a stir. So I'm looking for people to help plan this event. So please let me know after the meeting. Call me, email me, knock me down, join me. And then the handouts I gave you, we want to restore Prop 49. If you could go onto their website and sign up and be on the letter to the Supreme Court. And the other one is for the presidential executive order. We want our senators, we want you to make a phone call to Senator Boxer and Senator Feinstein. It gives you all the talking points. It's all here. Please help. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Wow. So Susan, did you want to talk about Cover California?
Yeah.
No.
You'll
Okay,
read
did
about
you want
it.
to talk
That's
about Stop Long Beach fracking?
Well, you can.
Hey, please.
Come on.
Actually, in terms of
we just came for another
California,
meeting and he kind of gave an overview, so he did a really good job.
Come on, Eddie.
Okay.
Well, I'm Eddie Rosales. My wife is
Wait, yeah, Eddie, can you come like to the center so people
Your
can...
wife, you see?
Oh,
Okay.
Hi, I'm Eddie Rosales. My wife, along
She's
with
in there.
along with Elliot
She's
Gonzalez.
in the kitchen.
Elliot Gonzalez, a lot of people know in this room, have started this small group called Stop Fracking Long Beach. We were at the Green Prize Festival like 10 days ago, actually, and we got a whole lot of great response. A lot of people signed up. We got 3 petitions out, and approximately, what, 300 and something
325
signatures.
And it's growing.
And it's growing. We just were informed today we've got a 3rd different petition drive going, and there seems to be a real groundswell for this subject. Now, we have no illusions in that we're not going to change a lot of people's minds because not too many cities have a whole Department of Gas and Oil that's dedicated for that, like we do here in Long Beach. But there really does need to be made of discussion, only because I don't know if anybody saw. There was a rather large article in the OC Weekly last week, which we were featured in.
Yeah.
And it really talked about really the dangers of fracking, not only to our groundwater, but the pipes that are going between the Ariel Islands and inland right there. They're right over a fault. So if we have a major earthquake like we did in '33, it's not going to only be just a regular disaster, but it's going to be one of the worst poisonous things that could happen in Southern California. And we're talking about hundreds of pipes that are underneath the ocean and going up through Long Beach. And then what we're doing is, again, we have no illusions about this. We just need to let people know and eventually shame our politicians, really, that there's really what we're doing is poisoning our aquifer, we're poisoning our land. We're in great danger that way. But what could I say? One of the ways that we're going to go about this is that we're talking about making a proposal, or making the city council direct the Department of Water to start checking for things like arsenic, benzene, other things that fracking. Well, as it stands right now, we don't know what they're using for fracking. It's a secret. It's a trade secret. And unfortunately, our dear Governor Brown is allowing this to happen. Yet we're supposedly in a drought, and it's making everybody, limit our water usage, but not the oil companies. I mean, they're going through billions of water, and so much water that they're selling to the farmers, as you know now.
Yeah, really.
So that's probably the way we're going to go. Is we're working on that right now, as far as the water, making the city council direct the water department to start checking for different types of toxic things in the water. We're working on that right now. This issue itself is extremely complicated. It's mind-blowingly complicated, but we're learning quite a bit in a rather short time. We've only been together about 8 weeks, so we're really quite a groundswell, and we're quite pleased at what we're getting right now. And that's it.
Well, thank you, Eddie. Wow.
Susan was actually one of the rebel rousers.
We did.
We talked about you on the video.
Yes. Oh, do we have any of these cards, Peggy? On us? No, unfortunately.
Okay.
If you want to, you can speak about it. Okay, that's okay. All right, so I guess that is going to wrap up our committee reports. And it is now 8 o'clock, so I think we should take our break now, and then we'll come back and we'll start talking about our organizational chart. So take a little break. I'm going to whip up some quesadillas.
Oh. Yay! Whip it up.
Oh, whip them up. We're passing the sombrero.
Are you passing it?
Yeah. Passing the sombrero. Sombrero.
Did you do anything?
My last $5 is all that I ever owned that I had. I now have nothing in my wallet or change.
Oh, but that's very nice.
There you go.
Okay, so I've been instructed by our president to get everybody back in their seats.
Somebody take the sombrero before I go spend the money.
Where is that sombrero?
Right there.
I gave mine to the treasurer.
1.06.
Okay, let's get back together, please. Everyone.
I guess we're not having any drawings.
Okay, you guys. All right. Let me have your attention, please. We're going to talk about our organizational chart and leadership responsibilities. Laurel's going to kind of make it a little short.
I'm going to make it a quick version. The edited version, because our speaker's here for our second half of our meeting. All right, I would like to have everybody have one of these to look at, so quickly take it and pass it if you would, please, so that we can refer to it. We're trying to get ourselves oriented and make sure that we had a really good discussion on the e-board recently about club needs, and then we feel like our leadership should reflect the needs. And so once you get the form, which we'll pass around and give it a second here.
I still have the canopy that I'm donating.
Okay, good. Good. Yes, we're going to need that for things.
Yeah, we definitely need to get over there and pick that up.
Yeah.
Yes, it's still in my garage, waiting patiently.
Okay, go ahead, Laurel.
Well, I'm just waiting for people to get the rest of it. So, all right, turn to the page that says the Yes We Can Leadership. I'm just going to quickly go down, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of the structure, and then I'm going to give a couple people a chance to say a few things. And then hopefully we'll be very quick. So we have 5 elected offices in our club. We have the president, vice president, 2 vice presidents, secretary, and treasurer. We have other appointed members on our leadership board, and you can see that people's names are there. If you have questions about any aspect of the club or want to participate in any way, then you would contact this person. the person that is designated. So, for example, let's talk about vice presidents because we have two. Cindy and I have actually spent quite a bit of time trying to delineate our jobs to make sure that we're covering what the club's needs are. So, I already talked a little bit about, like, if we go to vice president, that's, in case you don't know my name is Laurel Telfer. And so my area is going to be research, education, and communication. I'm going to be overseeing that based on what our club needs. And that's a little bit of what Shayna and Catherine have done. That's a beginning start, but there's going to be other stuff. I'm going to need a lot of help. And so if you're interested in that, and there'll be more opportunities to join in, but if you're interested in just research, education, or communication to get the information out, then you would see me. Now Cindy, for Cindy.
Hi, I'm Cindy.
The other half of the vice
Yes,
president.
and you know, my passion has always been membership and then outreach. So membership, you know, we have 28 members now. We want to double that membership. We're looking to build a membership team. If anybody has a passion for calling people, talking to people, it's a recruiting kind of thing where you want to recruit more people to the club. And then the outreach portion, which is, and they kind of mix each other. So outreach and membership kind of combine. So Phil has agreed to lead the outreach part of it. So that would be outreaching to the Peace Network group. You know, maybe there's a new group that's, you know, maybe a Democratic club that we want to connect up with, whatever. So if you have an interest in either membership or outreach, please let me know.
All right. Phil, is there anything you'd like, are you there, Phil? Do you want to say anything about outreach? Because you can have, this is your 30 seconds.
Well, I think we've got a good team going right now. We got Rondi and we got Cindy, and it's sort of a little different situation. They're really recruiting, and I'm trying to find what else is going on so we can all be working together in Long Beach and for democratic progress, getting together and connecting the dots. And we had the Green Prize Festival a week ago, and it really did show that there were a lot of people interested, but sometimes they're talking on different topics, and we've got to get us all working together because it's really important. I mean, we don't, you know, the Koch brothers smoke too much Coke sometimes.
Oh, good. Okay then. Any other of our leaders listed here, like Secretary Carol, do you have anything you want to add to people that you might need help with?
I think I'm fine to do.
Okay. Carol has a thing that's called the Operations Manual, so she might be asking for that later. Phil, Stuart, do you have any needs for any help at the moment? All right.
No.
Well, the point being that we're trying to be living, breathing, responding people, so if you're interested, we need you. Plus our other 26 new members by by December, we will fit them in. Okay, now turn to the other side. This is a 5-minute, 3-minute point. I always hate to gloss over this, but based on this and what we have determined to be the needs, and this being a non-election year, this is what the projected mission statement and objectives are for 2015. For some of you who've been involved with us for a while, we've had objectives before. Last year we had 4 objectives. We've now limited it, and I just want you to want to say 2 things about this, and then we'll have a chance to perhaps talk about it a little bit more because we want to get onto our speaker.
Is this on our website?
Not yet, because we wanted to show it to you, but it will be. That's good. Very good, Rondi, very good. So, number 1, we discussed, when you go back up to the mission statement, our mission statement for 3 years, for 5 years, has included a statement that said that we work to promote democratic ideals and that we want to get progressive candidates elected with good democratic values, and we are working to promote the agenda of Barack Obama. Well, when we're writing 2015, we can't wipe Barack Obama out because we have him as president until 2017 in January. So in order to make sure we're covering all of the bases, we added the one line that says we will support the candidacy of the 2016 Democratic Party presidential nominee, and we don't know who that is yet. Okay, so that's really all the changes that were made to the mission statement. Okay, then the objectives are, number one, and I think we should have made this clear by now, based on our strategy slam. We didn't just pull these out of the air. This is all based on what our members have been asking for. Objective one is we're going to continue to focus on state and local equity issues. These are the big objectives. We're still going to do little things, but these are the big things. The second objective is we're going to continue to work toward overturning Citizens United by supporting Moby and other groups like that, especially Moby. And the third objective, and pay to play, by the way, I think you guys know this, but like pay to play is a Moby objective, and it fits right in. So when Cindy talks about having another fundraiser for that, it isn't like we're just doing something random. It fits right in with objective 2. Okay, and because I heard somebody say something about that, so I just want to clarify. Number 3, we're going to continue to support the county and state Democratic Party issues and candidates. We're going to interact with local organizations and support progressive issues and candidates, and that can kind of lead us into our speaker, who's from the Progressive Democratic Club. But as you can see, we have those goals. We have the officers listed on the side, the elected officers, and then down here at the bottom, we have a pretty comprehensive list of all of the things that we are doing that we can do, we can pick from to be able to meet our needs. And so this is like a handy one-stop shopping mission statement / objective. And I think that over the years that we've been working on it, I think it's pretty darn good myself.
Yes.
All right.
Now, okay, that was great work. All right, so now, this part of our meeting, we are going to have our guest, Julian Berger, who's president of the Progressive Democrats, talk to us about the TPP, coming from a labor perspective, okay?
Well, not a labor perspective.
Yeah, you're a labor guy.
Why, were we going to have the video?
You know, I don't have that.
We thought we were going to be outside and we didn't, and then we found out we were going to be inside. So
that's all right. You can just talk to us.
Okay, so so the reason why I guess I'm even reasonably versed.
It's the chandelier.
It's the chandelier. Okay.
You can stand up here if you'd like.
I'll do it from here. Is everybody?
Yeah, because you're
I'm banging around
here.
Which way
is easier to get that way? I think
yeah, easier this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, come over here, Julian.
Okay.
Because we want to hear you.
Okay, most people can hear me pretty good because it's a loud voice. All right. Okay, great. So, what I'd like to do is, part of the deal tonight is that we actually do something, okay, and write some letters to either your congressperson, Alan Lowenthal, you get a choice, or Senator Feinstein. I actually been working with a group of people that are from CWA. They gave and you were there, Cindy, thankfully, and so was Laurel, presentation along with the video by Alan Grayson on the fast track and the TPP. And one of the things that they're trying to do is get...
I know what you're referring to, but could you use the first time at least? They'll know what it's out.
Oh yeah, sure. And then TPP is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, okay? And fast track is actually the mechanism which allows them to push through the Trans-Pacific Partnership and other trade agreements over a 15-year period without really due process, quote unquote. So, and that's the thing that actually they're taking up right now in Congress. It's already in Congress. It's already been submitted by, it's called the Wyden Hatch Bill in the Senate for fast track. And then it's also being taken up in the House of Representatives. So far, it's passed the Ways and Means Committee in the House and the Senate. So, and it's got to go through some other committees before it comes onto the floor. If it passes, okay, then basically that'll be the last time when a trade agreement comes up that actually any real intense examination will happen, because it'll just fly right through, because that's what fast track does, just allow the document to just shoot right through without proper examination. But before I get into that, I would like to hand these out. Okay, basically what it is, there's a template letter there, and then there's also some information about from the different representatives. My Democratic Club actually draws membership from 4 congressional districts and of course two U.S. senators. So that information's there for you, for your purposes. It's got their website, government website, they got their office, their local office phone number, and then they got their phone number for the Washington D.C. office. And then the template letter there. And what we're going to do is take a piece of paper off of there, and if you don't have a pen, we have pens, okay?
Okay,
so,
wait 1 second.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Some of the people in the group really don't understand the whole issue, so they might not want to write a letter until they understand it a bit more.
Right, I understand that.
So maybe, can you just do like a 2-minute overview
Sure.
of what TPP is,
Sure.
why it's so controversial with the fast track, so we have better understanding?
Sure.
Thank you, Laurel.
Yeah, okay. And so what I'm trying to do is not cut that down, as I'm just trying to get the logistics out of the way of this
Okay.
stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so the thing is, fast track enables these trade agreements for 15 years to basically just be shot through the process without proper examination, okay?
Sheena, can you pass those pens down?
Yeah, there's some pens here. Take a pen. You need a pen? You got a pen? Who doesn't have a pen? Okay.
While you're doing that, can I just throw in a few things, like it's a trade agreement between the U.S. and a Q&A.
Right.
Which countries, or how many countries?
Well, actually, there's a total of 20.
So just for
20 countries, excuse me. The United States, some, you might say third world nations, and some other nations that are at our level.
And
Okay.
there are already trade agreements, like under the Clinton era, just so people have a little background.
Well, there was a trade agreement, yeah. The thing is, the era of trade agreements that actually were great wealth shifters was when you had NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, okay, that Clinton put through. And then there were several other, yeah, and then there were several other trade agreements after that, because they had set basically the process to do it, nothing like fast track or anything, and everybody bought into it, and they didn't realize how bad those trade agreements were until they had some historical perspective, which, like losing mass quantities of jobs. I mean, there's got to be at least 10 million jobs that have been lost from this country. I don't know how many factories have been closed. They've been shipped overseas, okay? There's a huge plant, I think in Malaysia, okay, that makes Nike tennis shoes. They charge $295 for a pair of tennis shoes, the top of the line, and they pay these people 55 cents an hour. Pretty obscene, basically. And then they come back here. I wonder where all that great wealth goes. It obviously goes to the coffers of that country. Not the country, but that company. So the deal is originally fast track and trade agreements were set up to lower tariffs, which were started way back in the 30s, during the Franklin Delano Roosevelt time, to increase revenue to this country, because that was one of the ways that they collected taxes. They didn't collect a lot of taxes from you and us. They collected from companies and countries that shifted their goods in here that were made cheaper overseas, and then they put a tariff on there that was administered by the United States government. And what they did, they realized that it would have been better to get rid of these tariffs, to lower these tariffs, and actually they did it rather scientifically over time, but under Nixon they decided to do what they call fast track. Okay, so they decided to do where they would basically just shoot through these agreements, lower the tariffs without really look at them. Okay, so that the problem is now we've got this 20-year, 70s, 90s, yeah. Okay, we're almost 30 years here of basically of fast tracking these agreements, not fast tracking, but these agreements, and now what they want to do is they want to speed the process up where there's hardly any examination. Okay?
Why? I don't get
Why?
it.
Because it's deceptive.
I'm serious. I don't, that's the part I don't get. I mean, why don't they want examination?
Okay, before, basically, with what they were trying to do, and then we've had actually 2 trade agreements prior to this that were fast track, where they were not visible, there wasn't proper examination, they were nightmares. The Columbia Free Trade Agreement. You know what the product of that agreement is? There's been over 100 union members killed there. Just taken out and killed. Okay, the Korean Freight Trade Agreement, basically has done nothing but foster low-wage jobs in companies that basically then ship it back. at low prices, okay, or low enough prices that they can add on their profit, okay, we don't get any of that. Remember, with the old tariff system, the United States used to collect that, and that would offset any of the cost, okay? And basically, you didn't have, a lot of people didn't pay that much income tax back in the 30s, right? Only the people who were very rich, okay, who had the ability to do it. So, what we're doing with the fast track is they're now wanting, to answer Laurel's question, is basically, it's deceptive and dishonest, because now they've gone to a different level. Besides just lowering tariffs and trying to put some extra dollars in their pocket, they're trying to get to a point where just massive amounts of money, and particularly in the investment sector, are being shifted over to these people. Okay, you're not allowed. Nobody's allowed to go in and see the document. You know, you would have thought that this was the Holy Grail or the Constitution of the United States. You're not allowed to go in there and see that. Matter of fact, you want to go see the trade agreement, okay, if you're a senator or you're a congressperson, okay, to read the bill, you have to make an appointment. And you're only allowed to be there 30 minutes. Imagine that, a congressperson or senator is only allowed to be there 30 minutes.
And not take notes and not bring...
No, what happens, you can take notes, but you can't take them with you. Okay, you have to leave them when you leave the room. You can't take a staffer or anybody there to help you take notes. That person's not allowed in. Okay. Yes, Laurel?
Well, I was just going to say that I've read a little bit on it because I'm trying to educate myself.
Sure.
And so I read a couple of places that one of the reasons for this secrecy is that there are already 250 to 500 people involved in this deal. And when they're sensitive, I mean, I don't know that I support it, I'm just telling you what I read. But all these people have
you might have to take your dog out the back.
Sorry. In order to, because there are so many cooks in the broth, so to speak, of the member nations, the prospective nations, their aides, and the senators, etc., that they're trying to keep it undisclosed so that the elements of this deal are not leaked ahead of time to discourage the deal. And then, this is what I've heard, I don't know if it's true, if it goes through in fast track, and it may or may not, that once it's gone through fast track, then Congress has 90 days to peruse it and to bring it out, and that at that point it will all be public. And so that's why I'm so confused by why, I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to be paying attention to. Do you know anything about that, Julian?
Okay, the thing about fast track is, no, actually I didn't know about that 90 days, to be perfectly honest.
The train has left the station at that point.
Right, yeah. There are 600 multinational corporations that are financing this agreement. And they will stop at nothing to see that it gets passed. Okay, they are obviously trying to donate money to different candidates and stuff like that. They're threatening candidates. They're probably coming up to candidates or people who are in office, not candidates elected, and say, you're going to vote this way. I mean, they got it down to a science. They look at this thing and they say, this person is in an area that could go this way, go that way. We need their vote. They go there and they say, we need your help. And they say, no, I don't want to do that because 90% of my district or my state is against this, and they say, how about if we finance somebody against you? Kind of like what the Tea Party does, you know, and everything, like, where they finance somebody on the right side, and then they beat you in a primary. So they're scaring you. Some of these people, I'm sure, are actually leaving Congress, the Senate, the House, because they've had enough of it, of being bullied by large corporations. So the thing is, they want to get this in here, because if nothing else, the worst of this, there's this, okay, why don't we do your question? You have a question?
Well, talk about scare techniques. I mean, if you listen to you, you're scaring us. The President of the United States, Barack Obama, I listened to him on...
Chris Matthews? Was it Chris Matthews?
No, I said the President of the United States, Barack Obama.
I know. When he had that interview with Chris Matthews.
Oh, with Chris Matthews, yeah. You know, and they went back and forth, but it's a real different picture, and we're sort of trying, I'd like to get two sides of it. The thing he was talking about is that if we don't work with the Pacific area. You know, China doesn't have to do any of these things. What we're trying to do, it's sort of like talking about don't work on nuclear control of Iran. You somehow have to talk to these people, and so they're looking at it, and he thinks it's a chance to get people that agree to these different systems that are working that'll protect workers. Because what happens, I mean, I agree, NAFTA blew up in its face, but I always think about it that there's a positive aspect to these things too, that NAFTA was actually a democratic way of, through Clinton, to try to keep, you know, I mean, why do other people in the world hate the Americans? We're all nice. I mean, you know, everybody's real nice. Except that we don't, I mean, live at this, they don't live at the same level we do, and the idea is that if you could sort of spread it a little bit, and I don't mean give up everything, but when you said the statement of that there's killing of union reps, that really is true. But that was the drug runners in Colombia, and Colombia has sort of worked through that. And the only thing Obama hasn't been able to handle is our Secret Service keeping them away from the
keeping away from the girls, keeping them away from the women.
Yeah, keep them away from the women. But I mean, in other words, it's not as simple as I hear it. And I really do, I apologize, I don't understand it quite as much as I wish I did, but I'd like to look at it.
Well, before I go to that gentleman's question, one of the things is what they're trying to do is keep it confused. Because if they didn't want it confused, they would open up the process. They would open up the fast track and let everybody see it. Because, you know, the whole thing is, if people fail to realize, people like you understand, okay, the highest level of law in this country is the Constitution. You know what the second highest level is? Trade agreements, treaties. And then state laws, then county laws, then federal laws. This trade agreement and the ability to enact these things is going to be higher than any state regulation. Okay? Well, that's scary. It is scary. And the only thing that's going to be higher is the Constitution. Okay? So basically, and this thing is being pushed by great moneyed interests because of the biggest problem in it is this thing called the investment sector in there, where you can turn around and sue a country, or maybe even a state, okay, if that state impedes a corporation's ability to make a profit. Not that you made the profit and you've stopped making that profit, which is English common law. No, that the anticipated, expected profit you're going to get by this activity, and you don't get it, so you're now a bereaved individual, okay, in court. And they can go to a special court with 3 judges who happen to be on vacation, world, attorneys from the WTO or the World Bank, and I wonder how they're going to figure this. Okay, I mean this document right here, the TPP, which is the first document that will come out of the fast track process, literally will disembowel this country. It really will. That's my opinion, and I'm sorry that I've not got both sides. I told Cindy that I'm not going to give you pro and con. You know what I'm saying? I'm against this, 100%.
Really?
You know what I mean? So, yeah, that gentleman right there.
So, I think the question for me is, how does the TPP tilt the table further towards the 1%? Above and beyond what we're already caught up in, and I understand the negative effects of treaties. People have to buy guns and tobacco from the United States if you want to engage in a treaty with us, and I also see some of the positive impacts of spreading wealth to other countries by creating some opportunities when that happens in an equitable way. What I don't understand is why the TPP is going to make it any worse for middle-class Americans or people who are struggling here in our country.
It's going to make it worse. It's because it's going to move more jobs overseas.
Also environmentally.
Yeah, it's gonna, I mean, here's the deal. Let's say you have a corporation that's doing something.
What kind of jobs would be gone?
Well, I would say, remember when basically there was that discussion between President Obama and Elizabeth Warren, and he was saying that jobs would come back to this country. Elizabeth Warren says they're not going to come back. They're not going to come back.
Right.
The only job that's going to come back to this country is a six-figure job. And how many of those went overseas? Not very many. Most of the jobs that went overseas, okay, are very low-wage jobs. But remember, the people who lost those jobs, they have a life to live too. You know, they're not making six figures, but they have a life, they have a family and everything like. Those jobs just disappeared. I'm sure before that Nike plant opened up over in Malaysia, there were people in this country who are making at least what they thought was a reasonable wage, and it's gone, okay? Because a trade agreement allowed that company to move overseas, okay, and the company got a tax credit for it. And who knows, they may even still be getting a tax credit. You know, it's amazing what this government does. You know, company goes overseas, next thing you know, they get so much tax credit here, and they keep getting a tax credit. You know, it's just crazy. So that's the thing. We've probably, like I said, we've lost at least 10 million jobs. That's a lot of folks that are out of work.
How does TPP pump that even more? What is TPP?
Well, it basically allows you to shut down more industries and companies and move them overseas.
I thought that's a
It gives you the ability to do that.
Yeah, I thought we were already doing
So
it.
what else is being made? What does America make today? That we're still in steel? What else do we make? What do we make?
We don't make steel
We
anymore.
don't make steel. What do we make? Do we make
steel.
anything?
Hardly anything.
Do we make anything at all?
Well, actually, what we make is things that are more intellectually based.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
things that are in finance,
startups.
writing. But you know, the problem about this agreement, the TPP, which again is the first agreement, the end product of the fast track. That's the thing that they're doing right now, is they want to be able to lessen the ability to people to say, hey, you know, that's my stuff, copyright laws. They want to be able to gut that. So maybe if somebody moves overseas and writes something and maybe they're plagiarizing this, they can't sue them, because that's the next step up. Okay, yeah.
So is the fast track, is that the TPA?
Yes.
The authority.
Okay,
The authority
for the president to be able to negotiate the treaty.
Right.
Okay.
Without much scrutiny.
Right, and actually the president is a trade representative. And the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, is the first agreement on the list. They're just using it as an example.
Wasn't that TPA passed in the 1970s?
Yeah, that was, originally there was like a TPA, that was basically what I told you.
One discussion here, one discussion.
Yeah, that was when basically they had the first lowering of tariffs, which was the fast tracking back then. But it wasn't as sinister, and I use that word, sinister, as it is now. Back there, they were just trying to lower tariffs in order to allow goods to come in at a more equitable price, let's say, so we can enjoy certain things. And yes, there was some loss of jobs, but now what you have is everything has been lowered. Okay? The problem is that the money that's being gathered up isn't going to the federal government. It's not going to my pocket or your pocket. No, it's basically going to corporations. Basically, they market that thing just below what an item is made in this country. Okay, so they have. That's what it is. A long time ago, they used to do that. They just lowered trade. They lowered the tariff barriers. Okay, and they have that ability. Again, they just recently started that fast track thing with Colombia and Korea, and that was a disaster. Okay, but those are small potatoes compared to like the TPP. Again, the fast track is gonna last for 15 years. 15 years. Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's important for us to find out if there is, after fast track, if there really is a 90-day period for everybody to study it for it to become public, because then we'll know what's in it. But if maybe the problem for that is that, I mean, I guess this is a question to ask, if fast track is passed and then we have the 90-day period, then I thought that the way it worked is that at the end of the 90-day period, there was an up or down vote in Congress. And there couldn't be a lot of discussion.
No
but
amendments,
But there could be no amendments, but there could definitely be an up or a down. And so
Right.
each individual person could do it, and therefore, you know.
Yeah, actually, no amendments, no. It's not going to go through any committees. Okay. Matter of fact, on the discussion, you're going to have each House member or senator is going to have 88 seconds to make their point. 88 seconds. They're not even rounding up to 90 seconds, a minute and a half. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if there's obviously what they're trying to do is minimize input into this thing. That's the deal. Imagine you're going to have 90 days with this limited amount of time to interject lawfully, you know, your ideas. Okay.
Let me interrupt this for just a
Yes,
second. You know what? There obviously is a lot of interest in this topic.
Massive
We
amounts.
only have a little bit of time left, so if you have some questions right now, please ask Julian, because we're going to be adjourning soon.
Okay.
I think Laura
we're going to
was
write.
right.
Are we going to be able to write a letter or anything like that? Or
This
is
Yeah.
not Laurel. This is
Okay.
we have some, yeah, we have.
Okay.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
What did you look up?
The 90-day period.
Right.
And this is from a 2007 document, but it's from citizen.org, but it's a PDF, and it says all of these authorities, and they listed above, were transferred to the executive branch, conditioned only on the executive branch giving Congress a 90-day notice of its intent to start negotiations with the country, and then another 90-day notice before it signed a completed agreement. So it looks to me, I could be wrong, but it looks like they've got 90 days to up or down, and then it's law. I agree. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's based on limited information too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And an ability to not be able to put any in. So this gentleman here and then you, ma'am.
Real quick, just that one of the things I just couldn't believe was that, you know, remember that you had alligator golf shirts? They had the little, you know why there was an alligator? Because they couldn't import finished products from other countries, so they imported the shirt and then they sewed the alligator around
Same
the thing.
Korea and new and members only jackets.
Same kind of thing. I mean,
And I worked in a plastics factory, which has subsequently gone overseas, and we imported these little wind-up robots, but we made one tiny part to put on top of it so that it was okay.
Right, and
I mean,
actually
you
at that
gotta
point
be diligent, but I just don't like the fear thing. I mean, but we should be afraid, I guess, in some ways, if we work together.
I have this a question that I don't understand how I read that this involves intellectual property, but I don't quite understand in what way, because we don't have, I don't know if it involves tariffs or.
Intellectual property though, I think
It does.
It's involving the import-export tariff.
No, it does involve intellectual property.
Any product that's imported into our country, we don't be able to sue these companies if they're poisoning.
Sorry, Peggy, it does involve intellectual property. That's
It's
one of
one
the
aspect
one
of it.
aspect of this.
Right.
Yeah, but that intellectual property is a huge subject. Huge.
Right, colossal.
Colossal.
Right, and actually it's never been touched before.
Yes,
you know, by
right.
any trade agreements, and that's why it's so interesting. But basically what it is chances are, you know, somebody thinks that, you know, that's theirs and whatever. They go to that special world court with 3, you know, attorneys on there who are on vacation from the WTO or whatever, in World Bank, and then you lose. The chances are you're going to lose. I mean, that's all there is to it. And so the bottom line, that's the last vestige of it. And then the other thing is basically being able to turn around and sue countries who enact laws that stop you from getting your legitimate profit margin. Okay? And that extends all the way to such hideous things like human trafficking, prostitution. Okay, so the law doesn't look at that and say, you know what, if those are despicable acts or businesses, we're not going to allow you to make money on it. No, the country, and it may be the country where this is going on, may be infringing on the corporations or the owner's ability to make a profit, a speculative profit. You know, or maybe they've been doing it. In Malaysia, they've been doing it. Okay, and there's some complications in that and everything. So, yeah, it's really weird. Okay.
So talk about your letter now.
Okay, so the letter, yes, the letter now, thank you. Okay, what we have is, do you have, anybody have one letter that I can, did I hand them all out? Here. So popular. Okay, thanks so much. Okay, so what we're doing is this. Very simple letter. My club did it, you can bang this out in 2 minutes. Here's what it looks like on this side, okay? And what we're going to do is, you guys basically talk Alan Lowenthal, and he was pretty much on board.
He does not agree with TPP.
At all, or fast track.
Fast tracking it.
Okay, right, okay. So what it is the problem is Barbara Boxer's on board, okay? Not accepting fast track, not basically supporting the TPP as its first document. But Dianne Feinstein is on the fence. So this is a universal letter. Basically what you do here, there's step one is, Dear Senator Feinstein, you write it in there, and then you write this little bit here, very simple letter, your pro-choice club. So then you come down to step two, okay, and you got 1 through 8 items. You pick the item you like best, pop that in there, and then you go down there and it says, I urge you to vote no on fast track and TPP. You put your name in there, your address, email, you sign it. I'll collect it, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to this union group that actually is primarily funded by Communication Workers of America. They've actually turned out 141,000 of these letters.
Wow.
Yeah, into
I wonder how many
the Congress.
Feinstein is getting.
What?
I wonder how many Feinstein.
A ton, I'm sure, because basically what they're doing is if they have a friendly congressional person, then it's all on Feinstein, okay, and everything like that. And I think the reason why they're doing this is because I think they're going to lose a lot of jobs. Yes.
How about the reps? Are they on board?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, our reps are in this area. Alan Lowenthal is.
Yeah, he doesn't like TPP. He doesn't like fast track.
Janice Hahn is. She's against fast track and DPP also. I actually wrote a letter to her myself.
So there any pro-TPP?
Well, I'm sure there are Congress people in California, primarily Republicans.
Anybody around here?
No, the Republicans are supporting it.
Well, believe it or not, the interesting is there are some Republicans that are not, who are very much concerned about the sovereignty issue. Okay,
So
the idea that a corporation can sue a country and get damages. Okay, that really bothers some people. I forgot he was actually instrumental in the metadata stopping that, which, by the way, you know, the second appellate court basically has said that it was illegal for the NSA to collect mass quantities of phone numbers and everything like
Let's
that.
have one more question before we
So-
wrap it up.
So where does Dana Rohrabacher fall on this?
I don't know, to tell you the truth, because, you know, he used to be in this area, but, you know, since reapportionment, he went down there. I wouldn't be surprised if he's against it. And here's a couple other interesting chaps. Okay, Rush Limbaugh is against this. Okay,
Then I have to be
Rush Limbaugh is against it. You know how to take that. Okay, Donald Trump is against this. Okay.
Oh, I have to be for it.
I know, I'm wondering why, you know, but I'm just saying that sometimes something is so bad, even the worst of people see it that way. So I don't know, that's about it, right?
All right,
Okay,
you guys
so,
sign a letter tonight. Please give it to Julian before you leave, okay?
and you can keep this if you want to write some additional letters. If you'd like the little strip, it gives you, you know, I actually got mine taped to my refrigerator. So, yeah.
Thank you, Julian.
Okay, well, I'm sorry we weren't able to have that video. Alan Grayson was kind of my job.
I heard that on the radio, it was good.
So you guys, please hang on because we have one more speaker tonight.
I just wanted to make a short announcement. Earlier we were told that there are 3 of us in this room, Phil and Shayna and I, who are involved in a project to help ex-offenders get some of their convictions expunged.
Prop 47?
It's Prop 47, and there's some other code sections that allow it. And it requires lawyers to work with it, but as volunteers we can help develop the statements and the information so that can happen. And
by interviewing the actual.
Yeah, you interview the actual ex-offender, and you're going to help to isolate the different types of offenses based upon the docket from the court or their rap sheet. And then you can take a statement from them. And it's a really rewarding and interesting thing to do. They have a lot of law students who are working with it. UCLA Law School's involved in it. And there are a couple of groups, I forget, their names are hard to go, but All of Us or None, which is an ex-offender organization, and A New Way of Life, another one. But if you were interested in volunteering, it's the clinics take place on the second Saturday of the month Right now, they alternate between Long Beach and Watts, but they're working to try to get them so there'll be one every month in Long Beach and one every month in Watts. And, yeah, Phil?
Yeah, the point of it is that we're not lawyers, but we can speed up the process.
Yeah, and we can
they're
help.
overloaded with a lot.
Right,
And
right.
Some of them are automatic, but you have to go through the process and say, you know. What
And you're trained, right?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Prop 47 does have a 3-year limit on it, so that's a reason to try to get more people through the system. Okay, you can't do it until you have the training, and the training is done on a Thursday evening, just before the Saturday event. So if anybody thinks they might be interested in taking the training and then being a volunteer, could you please let either me or Shana or Phil know that?
And I have a criminology degree and I'm an ex-cop, so.
Oh, okay, Dee Dee is. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you.
All right, great.
I like that.
Like to do that.
That's quite a thing.
Are there any
So
more
happy to hear
announcements before we
Talk
adjourn?
about equity.
I have an announcement.
Okay.
The people stay the city, we didn't get a chance to talk about that. But it's an outstanding event. Oh, some more people left. Yeah, too bad. Anyway, People Save the City is something that they've been doing every year for 4 or 5 years now, I think. Because the mayor would always do his Save the City, but then there are a lot of activist groups, various immigrant groups, and the Coalition for Good Jobs, and Housing Long Beach, and just all the local groups that are active in various causes decided that they wanted to have their people's State of the City, and so they do that every year, and every year they have it in a different venue because they want to be in a different part of town. And this year, it's going to be at Stevens Middle School, because that's a neighborhood that they haven't met in yet. And because they want to get as many local people in the neighborhood to participate and to, come and watch it. So, I don't know if you guys are on the mailing list for people organizing it, but if not, maybe I'll just do a general mailing to the whole club about this.
Yeah.
But it's, that's a Wednesday night, I think.
It is, yeah.
It is, a Wednesday night, May 27th.
27th.
So mark your calendar, save the date.
It's a very good event.
And it's excellent, it's very impressive. The first time I went, I was blown away by the young people who had been through leadership training, and they were out there in their neighborhoods and taking an interest in being active in making their neighborhoods better and organizing, and it's really impressive to see what these groups are doing, so.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a whole other view of the city.
Okay.
So I just want to know, does anybody think we're still a one-issue club?
You guys, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Everything we talked
Thank you for
about
hosting.
tonight, we're going to be reviewing this in a MailChimp class that will come out to you, so you'll get to respond to this, okay? Thank you guys for coming.
Okay, does anybody have a